Hit subscribe before the truth disappears, because after this, you'll never look at the world the same again. The night it all began, Detective Ryan Hale stood ankle-deep in mud behind a shipping warehouse on the outskirts of Port Ashford, staring at a body that shouldn't have been there. The rain came down hard enough to erase footprints, blur tire tracks, and swallow sound, but nothing could hide the brutality of the scene. A man, mid-30s, athletic build, face swollen beyond recognition, lay twisted beside a crate stamped with a red handprint. No name, no ID, no struggle. Just one mark burned into the wood beside him, a crimson symbol shaped like a clenched fist. The symbol that officers whispered about but never officially acknowledged. The symbol of the Crimson Vow, a gang so violent, so organized, and so invisible that most people believed it was a myth. But Ryan knew better. He'd been chasing shadows tied to this emblem for 8 months, and tonight was the closest he'd ever come to something physical, something real. The warehouse yard was silent except for the sirens in the distance and the low hum of electric generators. Officers walked the perimeter with guarded precision. No one spoke above a whisper. This wasn't just a crime scene. It felt like a warning. Detective Lena Ward approached, her gloved hands tucked into her jacket. Emmy says cause of death is blunt force trauma to the back of the skull. But look at this. She crouched and gently tilted the body's hand. A small fresh burn marked the inside of the victim's palm. A brand, circular, with serrated edges like it had been pressed with a custom iron. That's their signature, Ryan said, which means they wanted him found. The Emmy zipped the victim into a black bag, and Ryan felt that familiar weight in his chest. The heaviness that came before a storm he couldn't stop. He glanced again at the symbol stamped on the crate. The Crimson Vow wasn't sloppy. They didn't leave bodies behind unless they were sending a message meant for him. Earlier that day, the port had been bustling with container movements, workers yelling over machinery, the metallic clank of cranes lowering loads onto trucks. But that energy always changed after sunset. At night, Port Ashford became a labyrinth of blind corners, shadows long enough to hide a nightmare, and silence thick enough to choke on. It was the perfect ground for a gang that thrived in darkness. Ryan and Lena followed the dock path toward the warehouse office, where a young officer waited with something unusual. "Detectives," he said, holding up a sealed evidence bag. Inside was a burner phone. Cheap, scratched, and still powered on. The officer swallowed nervously. It was in the victim's pocket. One unread message. Ryan took the phone, opened the message, and felt his stomach tighten. "You're already too late. V." Lena exhaled slowly. "They know you're on them." "They've always known," Ryan said. "The question is, why poke the bear now?" Before she could answer, a second message buzzed through. Same number, same signature. "Check the logs. 2116. Door 7. Come alone." Ryan glanced at the time. It was exactly 2116. "That's now," Lena said. "It's a trap," he replied. "Obviously, but it might be our only chance." They rushed toward Door 7, a rusted steel entrance tucked behind stacks of unmarked containers. The area was deserted. Ryan stepped forward, hand on his weapon while Lena covered the flank. The storm hammered against the metal roofs above them, masking every subtle sound. He pushed the door open. Inside, the warehouse was nearly pitch black. A single overhead light flickered in the center of the massive room, illuminating rows of sealed crates. The smell of salt water and diesel hung thick in the air. Lena's flashlight beam cut through the dark, landing on a laptop placed neatly on the floor. It was open, a video already queued. Ryan crouched beside it. "This wasn't for the victim," he whispered. "This was for us." He hit play. Static burst across the screen before clearing to reveal a dimly lit basement. A man sat tied to a chair, his face bruised and bleeding. Behind him stood someone wearing a red cloth mask shaped like a clenched fist. The masked figure spoke with a distorted voice. "Detective Hale," it said. "You've been looking in the wrong direction." Ryan's pulse quickened. "You think this port is a trafficking point. You think the shipments come through here. You think the Vow is hiding in the dark." The masked figure leaned closer to the camera. "But the truth is simpler." He lifted the hostage's head, forcing his battered face into full view. Ryan froze.
He knew that face. It was Detective Marcus Vance, missing for 3 months, presumed dead, his partner before Lena. The masked figure continued. Marcus betrayed us. He betrayed you, but he also left you something we don't want you to find. Lena whispered, "Oh my God." The masked figure reached out toward the camera, and the screen glitched violently, as if the signal was being jammed. Find what he hid, and you find us, but be warned, Detective. The Crimson Vow isn't your enemy. The masked figure lowered his voice. We're just the beginning. The video cut to black. Ryan stared at the screen, trying to steady his breathing. Rage, grief, confusion, they hit all at once. Marcus wasn't a casualty. He was a message, and whatever he'd hidden was now the key to exposing the gang. Then, just as Ryan reached to close the laptop, a second video autoplayed. This one showed a map of Port Ashford. Highlighted in red was one place Ryan never expected to see: the police evidence storage building. Lena stepped back. No, Ryan, that doesn't make sense. They're inside, he whispered. They've been inside this whole time. A loud clang echoed through the warehouse, metal hitting metal, and both detectives spun toward the darkness. Footsteps. Fast, moving away. Lena chased, but as they rounded the southeast exit, the figure was already gone into the rain. Ryan stood in the doorway, heart pounding. The Crimson Vow wasn't just watching them. They were leading them somewhere. And whatever Marcus Vance left behind, the Vow wanted them to find it, or wanted to control what happened when they did. A phone buzzed inside Ryan's pocket. The burner again. A final message appeared. If you open the wrong door tonight, someone you trust will die. Ryan looked at Lena. She looked back shaken. Ryan, what door are they talking about? He swallowed hard, staring into the black maze of containers. And that's when the realization hit him like a punch to the chest. He knew exactly which door they meant. The one Marcus had warned him about months before disappearing. The one door Ryan had promised himself he would never open. But now, he had no choice, because behind that door was the truth, and the first piece of the Vow's deadly game.
The rain hadn't eased by the time Detective Ryan Hale pulled up to the precinct's evidence storage building, its concrete walls washed in street lamp gold and shadow. The message still burned on his phone. If you open the wrong door tonight, someone you trust will die. It repeated in his mind, like a warning, a taunt, and a countdown all at once. Lena slammed her car door and hurried after him. "Ryan, slow down," she said, breath fogging in the cold. "Think. They want you rattled. They want you impulsive. That's exactly how you make mistakes." He didn't stop walking. "We don't have time." "Yes, we do. We always have time to think before stepping into a trap." Ryan looked at her. Rain dripped down her hair, her jacket, her gloves. She wasn't just worried about the case. She was worried about him. "Lena," he said quietly, "the Crimson Vow knew Marcus. They knew what he was investigating, who he trusted. They knew the one place he told me never to go. They're pushing us toward it because they know it matters. Or because they know it will destroy you," she said. He pulled out his access card. Either way, we're opening it. The interior of the evidence building was colder than outside, the fluorescent lights humming with a faint, unnerving buzz. Shelves lined the walls in long, orderly rows, boxes stacked neatly, barcoded, tagged, and logged. Tens of thousands of pieces of evidence from decades of cases rested here. But there was only one section Ryan cared about. Row 14B. He could still hear Marcus's voice from almost a year ago. "If anything happens to me, don't open 14B. Not unless you're willing to face something you can't unsee." Ryan had laughed then, thinking it was another one of Marcus's dramatic warnings. But Marcus hadn't been joking. Lena followed closely. "Remind me what's in 14B. "Old gang cases," Ryan said. "Cold case remnants. Stuff from operations we shut down before you transferred in." "So why would Marcus tell you to stay away?" I swallowed. "Because he was working something off the record." She stopped walking. "You knew?" "I suspected.
but I didn't know how deep it went. The row numbers appeared overhead: 10B, 11B, 12B. Each step tightened the knot in his stomach. Then they reached it: 14B. Ryan scanned his card and the gate latch clicked open. He slid it aside slowly, like he expected someone to be waiting on the other side. The aisle was dark except for a single flickering light. Shelf after shelf filled the narrow corridor, each box lined with dust except one. One box was clean, untouched by time. Box 14B 17. Marcus's handwriting was on the label, small, angular, and unmistakable. Lena whispered, "Ryan, whatever's in there, Marcus didn't want you to see it unless he had no choice. He left it for me," Ryan said, "which means we open it." He lifted the box carefully and set it on the metal table at the end of the aisle. Lena stood beside him as he eased the lid open. Inside were documents, thick files, photos, maps. But something else caught his attention first. A flash drive. Black. Unmarked. New. Ryan felt a cold ripple move down his spine. "Plug it into my laptop," Lena said, pulling her bag off her shoulder. He hesitated. "What if it's infected or rigged?" "It probably is," she said. "But that's why we use my off-grid machine. No connection, no risk." She opened the laptop and Ryan inserted the drive. A single folder appeared on the desktop. Project Ravenshore. Created 10 months ago. Lena's eyebrows lifted. What the hell is Ravenshore? Ryan clicked into the folder. Video files, audio logs, scanned letters, and one document titled The Crimson Vow, Structure and Operation. Ryan's pulse kicked up. Marcus was documenting them. Not just documenting, Lena whispered. He was investigating them alone. Before Ryan could open the document, the audio logs auto-populated into a playlist. The first file began playing on its own, crackling through the laptop speakers. Marcus's voice, shaky, tired, afraid. "This is Detective Marcus Vance, recording for insurance. If you're hearing this, it means I didn't make it out." Ryan froze. "I've been undercover with them for 6 months, longer than planned. The Crimson Vow isn't a gang, not exactly. They're a consortium, ex-military, traffickers, former intelligence assets, mercenaries for hire. They're building something they call Phase 7, a coordinated operation across 3 cities. Something big, something they're willing to kill for." Lena grabbed Ryan's arm. "He went undercover without backup?" Ryan felt numb. He knew if he filed paperwork, the wrong person would see it. Marcus continued, voice cracking. "And Ryan, if you're the one listening to this, I'm sorry. I lied to you. I had to. They were watching me, watching everyone around me. I couldn't risk you getting pulled in." Ryan leaned against the table, breathing hard. "But I found proof. Real proof. The Vow is deeper in the department than anyone knows. They have people here, high level. Someone is feeding them intel, every raid, every target, every operation." Lena stepped back. "We have a mole." "No," Ryan whispered. "We have a handler." Marcus's voice shook. "I'm hiding the documents in 14B. It's the only place they won't check, because it's the one place they think you'll never go. Ryan, if they find out what I stole, they'll come after you. And they won't stop." The file ended abruptly. Ryan stared at the laptop, throat tight. Lena whispered, "Ryan, he trusted you with this. But if this is true, then we can't trust anyone in the department. Anyone." Before he could respond, the laptop flickered. A new message appeared across the screen. "You opened the wrong door." Lena's breath hitched. No, how? This laptop isn't connected to anything." The warehouse lights snapped off. Darkness swallowed them whole. "Ryan," Lena whispered, hand reaching for her weapon. A soft click echoed through the aisle. Metal tapping metal. then another, then more. Footsteps moved between the shelves, slow, confident. They weren't alone. Ryan drew his gun. Back to back, he whispered, but before they could form position, a red laser dot appeared on the far wall. Then another, then four more. Lena stiffened. Snipers? Inside? Ryan counted the shadows moving in the aisles, silhouettes shifting with precision, forming a choke point between them and the exit. A voice echoed from the darkness, the same distorted voice from the warehouse video. "Detective Hale, you should have listened." Ryan tightened his grip on the gun. "Show yourself." The voice chuckled. "You just opened a door Marcus died closing. Now you've put Ward in danger too." Lena raised her weapon, scanning the dark. "What do you want?" "We want the files back. And we want Hale to stop digging." Ryan stepped forward. "Why? What's in the files?" Silence. Then the voice hissed. "The evidence that can bring down the man who commands us." Lena's eyes widened. "Their leaders connected to law enforcement?" "Far more than that," the voice replied. "He's standing across from you." Ryan froze. Across from us? Dozens of laser dots snapped into place, but they weren't pointed at him. They were pointed at Lena. Lena's eyes filled with horror. "Ryan, I'm not—" The voice finished the sentence. "Our inside agent." Ryan's heart stuttered. Lena took a step back, shaking. "Ryan, you don't dare believe them! You don't—" The light snapped back on. Red-clothed figures filled the aisle, and Lena Ward stood in the center of all their laser sights. Tears in her eyes, hands trembling. As Ryan realized, he didn't know who to trust anymore.
The fluorescent lights buzzed back to life in a violent flicker, revealing Lena Ward surrounded by at least a dozen members of the Crimson Vow. Their red cloth masks looked almost ceremonial in the harsh white glow, each one marked with the clenched fist emblem. Weapons drawn, positions controlled, a formation practiced 1,000 times before tonight. Ryan Hale didn't move. He didn't breathe. He kept his gun raised, locked on Lena, even as his mind screamed that this was wrong, all wrong. The woman in front of him wasn't an enemy. She had risked her life for him on more than one occasion. She had chased leads through freezing nights, held pressure to a victim's wound while backup arrived, dragged Ryan out of a warehouse that was seconds from exploding. Everything about her said loyalty. But the Crimson Vow had turned her into a question mark. "Ryan," she whispered, tears smudging the edges of her voice. "You know me. You know who I am." The masked leader stepped forward, slow and deliberate. "Do you?" the distorted voice taunted. "Or did Marcus hide more from you than you realize?" Ryan's mind spun. Marcus had gone undercover without telling anyone. He had warned Ryan about a traitor. He had hidden evidence. And Lena had arrived on the task force just weeks after Marcus disappeared. Coincidence? Or something darker? Lena lowered her gun and placed it gently on the floor. "I'm unarmed. I'm not your threat, Ryan. They're manipulating you. They want you isolated." Ryan kept his aim steady. "Then why are you the one they're pointing guns at?" "To make you doubt me," she snapped. "It's leverage, Ryan. They know you hesitate when it comes to people you care about. They're using that." The leader laughed. "Such emotion. Such drama. You humans never disappoint." Ryan fired a warning shot. "Enough. No more games. Who is the mole in the department?" The leader tilted his head. "You already know." Ryan fired again, this time hitting the metal shelving inches from the leader's mask. A few gang members flinched, raising their weapons higher. "Tell me," Ryan demanded, "or I start dropping bodies." The leader finally spoke clearly, almost amused. "The mole isn't a mole, detective. He's a commander." Ryan froze. Lena paled. A commander. In their department. In their chain of command. The leader continued, savoring the moment. "He recruited us, built us, trained us. Every operation you thought you led, he allowed it. Every arrest you made, he planned for it. And Marcus, poor Marcus, walked too close to the truth. That's why he had to be removed." Ryan's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Name, now." The leader raised his chin. Then everything changed. Gunfire erupted from the far end of the aisle, deafening and chaotic. Glass shattered, masks flew, the Crimson Vow scrambled for cover. A smoke grenade rolled across the floor, hissing thick white plumes into the room. "Down!" Lena shouted as she pulled Ryan by the collar as a spray of bullets ripped into the shelving where he had been standing seconds before. Ryan hit the floor hard, his ears ringing. Shadows danced through the smoke, tactical silhouettes, SWAT gear, flashlights slicing through the haze. "This is Federal Response Unit! Drop your weapons!" Crimson Vow members scattered like insects. Some fired back, others sprinted toward the emergency exits. The leader slipped into the smoke, vanishing before Ryan could blink. "We have to move, now!" Lena shouted, pulling Ryan by the collar as a spray of bullets ripped into the shelving where he had been standing. Ryan scrambled to his feet. They knew the feds were coming. "No," Lena said, coughing through the smoke. "Your commander knew." Ryan froze. The Crimson Vow had said their commander ran everything. Someone inside the department, someone with authority to deploy or delay federal units, someone with power. A name surged into Ryan's mind like a venomous whisper. Chief Superintendent Doyle. The man who had assigned Marcus undercover, the man who had placed Lena on Ryan's team, the man who controlled all gang enforcement budgets, the man who had been helping Ryan hunt the Crimson Vow while hiding their existence from half the department. Ryan looked at Lena. "We're not safe here. Doyle will shut this scene down. He'll bury every piece of evidence." Lena nodded. "Then we get out with the files." Bullets struck the crate beside Ryan's head, splintering wood. A Crimson Vow member charged from the smoke, swinging a steel pipe. Ryan blocked the strike, fired once, and the attacker crumbled. Lena pulled him toward the exit. They burst out the east door into the icy rain. Sirens wailed all around the port. Officers yelled, chasing fleeing gang members along the docks. "Car!" Lena shouted. They sprinted toward Ryan's unmarked sedan. He fumbled for the keys, hands shaking, adrenaline boiling. The moment the doors unlocked, they dove inside. Ryan slammed the engine into gear, tires screeching as they tore away from the building. For 5 minutes, neither of them spoke. Rain hammered the windshield. The city lights blurred by in streaks of red and blue. Finally, Ryan asked Lena, "Lena, were you ever part of them?" Her voice broke before she answered. "No, not for a second, but I know why you doubt me." "I don't doubt you," Ryan said. "I doubt everything Marcus didn't tell me." Lena pulled in a shaky breath. "There's something I never told you about Marcus." Ryan stiffened. "What?" "He contacted me before he disappeared. He said someone in the department was planning something big. He didn't say who or why, but he asked me to watch your back." Ryan stared at her. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because he told me not to," she whispered. "He said if I told you, you'd run straight into danger." And he was right. Ryan gripped the wheel. 30 seconds passed before he finally said, "Do you know who the mole is?" Lena looked down at her hands. And then she nodded. Ryan's heart thudded. "Say it." She hesitated. But before she could speak, Ryan's phone buzzed. A blocked number. He answered. A low voice said, "Detective Hale, we know you took the files. Bring them to the old train yard at sunrise. Alone." Ryan's blood turned to ice. "Who is this?" he asked. "You already know," the voice replied. A metallic snap came over the line, then a scream. A familiar scream. Lena's eyes widened. "Ryan, who was that?" He ended the call, shaking. His jaw tightened. That was Chief Superintendent Doyle. Dawn broke slowly over Port Ashford, the sky bleeding into pale orange. The abandoned train yard stretched across the horizon like a graveyard of rust and steel. Ryan stepped out of his car, flash drive in his pocket, gun at his side. Doyle stood 50 yards away near an old rail car, his suit soaked, hair plastered to his forehead. Behind him, 4 Crimson Vow soldiers stood with rifles ready. But Ryan wasn't looking at them. He was looking at Lena. bound, gagged, kneeling on the wet gravel beside Doyle. Doyle smiled. "Good morning, Detective." Ryan stepped closer. "Let her go." "Oh, I will," Doyle said casually, "after you do something for me." Ryan's voice trembled with rage. "You built them. The Crimson Vow. You killed Marcus." Doyle shrugged. "We all outgrow our tools." Ryan's hand went to his holster. Doyle raised a hand. "Careful, Ryan. You shoot. She dies." Ryan froze. Doyle smiled again. "Give me the drive." Ryan pulled it from his pocket, held it tightly. Doyle reached out. Ryan didn't move. And in that moment, in the space between one breath and the next, Lena lunged sideways, knocking Doyle off balance. The Crimson Vow soldiers scrambled. Ryan fired. Chaos exploded across the yard. Bullets sparked off steel. Shouts echoed through the empty rail cars. Doyle crawled away screaming orders as Lena ripped free from her restraints. Ryan sprinted toward her. A rifle cracked. Lena collapsed into his arms. "No, no, Lena!" Ryan shouted, holding her as her blood spread across his hands. She grabbed his shirt, pulling him closer. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Ryan, Marcus trusted you. Finish it." Her eyes dimmed. Her grip loosened. And Ryan Hale, broken, furious, and drenched in Lena's blood, rose slowly to his feet. Doyle was running toward a waiting SUV. Ryan raised his gun. A single shot rang out. Doyle fell. The SUV sped off, carrying the remaining Crimson Vow soldiers into the rising dawn. Ryan staggered forward, standing over Doyle's dying body. Doyle sputtered, coughing. "You think killing me ends this?" Ryan stared down at him. Doyle smiled. "Phase 7 has already begun." He died with that smile on his face. Ryan looked toward the horizon, the sun rising behind the rusted rail cars. Lena gone, Marcus gone, Port Ashford drowning in corruption. He tightened his fist. The Crimson Vow wasn't finished, and neither was he. He whispered to the wind, "If you think this story was intense, you're not ready for what comes next."